Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to another episode of our WCNfluencer podcast. And I have a very special guest this evening, Tyler Pieron from Coming Home Well. Tyler, it's been a while since we've seen each other.
It's been a few months, but it's really good to see you again.
Yeah, and we've got some special events coming up with Coming Home Well and the Whole Care Network, especially in November with our Surge event and Veterans Day. But first of all, let all of our listeners know and viewers know about your podcast on Coming Home Well.
So Coming Home Well was originally a radio show. We were on the local affiliates here in Charlottesville, Virginia, and then COVID happened. And so we had sort of affiliated and sort of spread out to 3 or 4 radio stations. And then COVID happened, and we had to figure out a new way to do business because interviewing people in a little tiny booth in the local radio station wasn't going to work. And so we had that was the primary thing we had was Coming Home Well. And so we said, all right, we're going to do this streaming. We're going to do it on Zoom. And it really blew up. A lot more people were able to access the information. But then we had to think a little more larger, a little more across the country. And so that's really allowed us to expand the number of folks. So I'm really excited about it. And it went from just my radio show on Coming Home Well. That's why we named the organization. That was the flagship show. I think we have 9 or 10 different shows now.
Yeah,
I know you're highlighting some
10,
of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we're doing all sorts of things. So the main thing that I worry about is helping veterans come home well. And that covers a broad gamut of topics. Everything from, justice-involved veterans, somebody who's involved with the legal system, to how do I find a job? What are my benefits? How do I get those benefits? And some of it goes into exquisite detail, and some of it is pretty broad. But we also do some other things of interest to veterans, like history and military history, and have authors on to talk about things. One of the great guests that I had was the historian of the Navy. And I was like, oh, this is great.
The historian of the... Now, I'm going to have to go back and find that and listen to it. That would be... Because I'm kind of a history buff, but goodness, we
had him on to talk about Pearl Harbor, and I learned that the Navy has an entire forest in the middle of the country to keep the USS Constitution, the wooden ship that they use for training.
Okay.
That's the whole reason they have this forest of old growth timber that the Navy manages, and the historian is in charge of that. It makes no sense to me, but it certainly does make sense, I guess, as a historical thing. So we talk about a lot of things of interest to veterans. Some of it's very practical, and some of it's just very interesting things with a military tint to it.
Right, and there's some comfort there in knowing that a veteran is talking to a veteran, and that that you've been in those shoes, and we say on the Whole Care Network, there it's where story sharing is where diversity meets the road to collaborate on a common cause, and our common cause is caring for somebody else.
Very much so, and that's the real driver of everything to do with Coming Home Well. The whole concept is, how do you come home well when you're not sure what you're going to be doing next?
Right.
Especially whether it's a first-term enlistment or somebody who's been in 20 years. They have different challenges, but they all have challenges in how to come home and live in civil society outside of the military environment.
And then in a lot of cases, there's caregiving issues that are involved as well, and that's one of the many reasons that we're all excited about collaborating together with the Whole Care Network and Coming Home Well, because it's that sharing that information. If we can just touch one person that we may not have been able to touch without our collaboration, then we're doing, I think, what we're called to do and helping others.
Oh, absolutely. One of the neat things that I found super interesting when we were collecting all the numbers and statistics about who are we reaching, who's our audience, and that's really hard to do sometimes. Right. One of the things that we found was about 40 to 45% of our audience is the caregiver network around veterans. Their friends, their families, their loved ones, or a caregiver, internal or external to the family. And I was like, wow, that is pretty amazing that it's such a large number. But when I really reflected on it, it made so much sense. It's a different alien world. And so they
Right.
want to learn about this world and the resources and the tools and even the vernacular.
Exactly.
And a lot of times they're trying to get into that and try to understand where their veteran is coming from.
Right, because in many cases, folks are trying to access this information in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when you're in an emergency? You're making emotional decisions. You don't know where you're at, and I think that's why we stay in these roles as advocates, because we know a little bit about the journey, and we want to be there to help others.
No, absolutely. And that's one of my main focus is like, hey, what information should somebody know? Or if they hear about it, because usually, like you said, it's an emergency or it's immediate need, and you don't know about a resource, and you find out about it sometime later, and you go, gosh, I wish I knew then about this thing.
It's that V8. I wish I could have had a V8. It's that moment,
Right.
and I think that that's why it's so important. Because when it comes to caregiving, there are no strangers.
That's right. It's a
Everybody
very
is-
challenging environment.
Everybody, exactly. And we've been working the phones. We've been talking back and forth, and now we're getting ready to do our collaboration. And the first thing we're going to do this month in November is our Surge event, where we at the Whole Care Network are supporting nonprofits like Coming Home Well, and encouraging people to sign up for the Village at Whole Care Network University, where you can, oh goodness, we've got 4 free courses up right now, and a variety of topics and experts that caregivers can sign into and feel a part of, and know that they're being communicated to from people that are like-minded. And anybody who signs up through Coming Home Well, we share 50% of the proceeds. That's $2 a month. It's $2 a month to sign up. $20 a year to sign up. It's a pretty good deal. You get all this content and free information, and you're helping a good cause.
We are very excited about all this. I mean, it's a match made in heaven. I mean, it's so especially personally very excited. Now we've been dealing with a lot of things everywhere around the world, and then we're like, hey, where did this come from? Oh, the Whole Care Network. Oh, this is wonderful. These are our simpaticos.
I like that. I like that. The simpaticos. That is awesome. And this isn't just a one-time event. This is our relationship is long-standing. We're just getting started. But you'll be able to see the affiliate link on Coming Home Well, as well as Coming Home Well landing page on the Whole Care Network, and we'll have the links, affiliate links, in the show notes here as well. And in November, with Veterans Days coming up, we're going to be debuting our streaming radio channel, and I know Coming Home Well is kind of going back to streaming radio after the first of the year, and so we're going to be sharing content back and forth because it's in that spirit of story sharing where we can help others.
I'm very much looking forward to it, and we really appreciate the support from everyone, especially people who want to sign up for some of these courses. So we're very excited to be part of this.
We're very excited about it. So Tyler, let all of our listeners and viewers know how they can learn more about you and your podcast.
So the best thing to do is just go to Coming Home Well. It's all one word. Just mash them together. .com or .org. It doesn't matter. ComingHomeWell.org.com. And then just click around. The podcasts are right up in front and center. If you want to learn more about some of the hosts, just click on the show notes or the About Us. It's all right there. It's super easy to find.
Very easy to find. And the second best place to find you is on your landing page on the Whole Care Network. Just go to the Whole Care Network and you can type in Coming Home Well and you'll see the podcast. And we'll be featuring you on our streaming radio channel. What day is today? This is like the 19th or so. I don't know.
The 19th?
We're starting on November 1st, which is National
right around
Family
the corner.
Caregivers Month.
I mean, as quickly as October has passed, it's like a blink of the eye.
What's going on? Said if I had hair, it would already have fallen out trying to learn the streaming radio channel. But Tyler, I really appreciate the great work that you do, and this is one of the joys that I have is I get to talk to folks like yourself who in most cases would never have had that opportunity if we hadn't been involved in some form of care.
Thank you so much for having us on.